So this is the brief Spotfire dashboard that we spent a few minutes just pulling together from this data lake. And you can see right away that we've got a large number of bonds loaded and tax information loaded, going back into years and into whether it is an approved or voted tax bond or a proposed one. So we've got the approved ones, 75% of all the ones we've got are approved, 23% are defeated, and then there's a small sliver currently in proposed. If we look down here, if we look at the bottom, the proposed ones are just 2020. They haven't been voted on yet, so they're still proposed. So this gives us a thread and a track of tax information going to school districts over the course of years, so we can start to say, okay, we're interested in taxes raised in 2017, 2018, because they're probably spending on those at the moment. If I drill into the proposed ones for a moment, you can see that this changes, right? So the graph changes and shows us which are proposed. It shows us that there's various proposed here, one in Academy ISD that's proposed, showing all the ones proposed. There's some down here for Academy, Azle, various others. I'm going to drill into this one in Killeen and take a look at Killeen ISD. I can also filter by different cities and districts up here. So I'm going to actually use the filter to pull up Killeen quickly, so we can filter by geography. And this gives us all the conversations, look, that shows how Killeen has been talking about 2020 bonds. There's some historical ones here from 2018 and some new ones coming up. If we look at the actual content, so we can pull the actual content here. This is the content that we decomposed using natural language processing to pull out the relevant information. So this was a paragraph from a PDF document from a meeting minutes in May to describe some of the taxation, some of the expenditure in Killeen School District. So this is bringing this together into what we can present to our business users so they can carve apart and redimension, reslice the data that we're providing within this data lake to give them various intelligence. If we're selling building materials or we were selling employment services or recruitment services, then different aspects of this data becomes interesting to see how should we be targeting our activities going into the next year with some of this information behind it. So this is the Spotfire approach and coming in from that business user viewpoint. Let's have a look at EBX for a moment. So pulling this together behind the scenes, we've got the school district data within EBX. So this is the master data coming from the Texas Education Authority, and it's then mastered by ourselves to make sure it's correct and curated and appropriate. We've got some comptrollers information coming in with all the taxes and the amounts that have been approved in previous years. So this is a history of some of the school taxation. And then also within EBX, because we're also using the workflow within EBX to drive the pipeline that collects this information, we've got the collection of all the unstructured information coming from this list of websites over here, in a total of 12,000. We can't quite get to all of them, or we haven't got to all of them yet. So this continues to grow as we move forward, but this pulls all this together, and then we place all this into the data lake, as I mentioned. When we tie this together within EBX, we can see in a slightly less graphical form, we can see similar data. So we've got Killeen ISD, a conversation from February 2020, particular paragraph, Mr. Lawler talking about Killeen High School renovation using a bond of $235 million that was raised or is actually raised in 2018. So we start to be able to see how this comes together using the data engineering from TIBCO EBX and then presenting up to the business community within TIBCO Spotfire.